next question, we're shifting a little bit to social media. So I would like to ask Julie how social media has affected the way that we look at ourselves.
Yeah, so for me, in my personal opinion, I think that the majority of like what is presented on social media, especially like Instagram, are all seemingly like perfect, and like everything, like every post that people make, almost every post that people make, all kind of represent like a perfect life or just like perfect body or anything like that. Um, and like they spend a lot of a lot of people spend a lot of time kind of editing or working on their posts too before really putting it out there. And like I'm all for posting on Instagram, like I'm all here for it. But it's just like there are certain times when in my feed I'll see like something that kind of reinforces just like those like beauty ideals or like stereotypical like standards that obviously I don't fit the mold in, and like I never have. um and so that's kind of like it's just reinforcing that like negative idea, and I just feel like it's just feeding like negativity into me, because obviously like I just it kind of like hinders my confidence, just because like I'm constantly being reminded that I'm obviously like kind of like an outsider, and so it makes me feel like I'm less than, when looking at like the majority of posts on Instagram, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a problem that a lot of people face. And it's a really big bummer that a lot of people face that problem. But Noora, if you have something to add, please go for it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Julie, honestly. I kind of think of social media as like an opaque wall. On one side, like people, I don't know how to say, like they show the best parts of their life. They show like perfection, like you said. And then it kind of just tucks away like the reality of life. Life is like there have ups and downs in life. Like you're going to be happy some days, and some days you can just be like, I just want to stay in bed all day, right? But obviously, you're not going to post about you wanting to stay in bed all day. You're going to post about, like, oh, yeah, I went on this trip with my friends and I went here and I gone there and I got this and I got that. It's like, and it's just, and I just think it's kind of really detrimental to like people that are struggling. Like, I know a lot of times, like, especially my friends would say that when they're like upset and they don't know what to do, they kind of just scroll through social media. They scroll through it and like instinctively they compare themselves to those that are on social media. And then they think that like the people on social media are living a 24/7 like fairy tale, like best life, you know, living it up or whatever people say. Um, and I just think it's just like this circle of just not really seeing the reality of life, but rather just showing this mask. I think Julie also used this phrase, like this mask of kind of not reality. I don't want to say it's fake because there's obviously when times people are happy and they like to show that they're happy on social media and this and that. But at the same time, it's just not reality, and we kind of take it as reality, which is a huge issue.
Go for it, Barbara.
So let me ask you a question. Do you guys look at magazines very much? Yes or no? Or somewhere in there, like paper magazines, not sort of medium to nothing, right? Yeah, right. Okay. So social media, when it first got really, really popular, was because people found that they could share stuff with their friends and family and people who weren't close to them geographically, that they wouldn't normally be able to share things with very easily. And it was, you could put one thing up and your whole friend network could see it, and they could all, you could share your joy with them, and it was great, right? And somewhere along the line, social media with Instagram and everything else sort of morphed into the modern day equivalent of magazines, right? When you guys, if you ever look like at Cosmopolitan or Vogue or some other fancy magazine where everybody's done up and clearly it's like this massive photo shoot, they've got special filters for the light, they've photoshopped everybody, they spent hours on makeup and clothing, and just everything is so contrived, maybe created, right? Curated. It's not real. It's not every day. It's not life. It's somebody's imagination almost. That's what social media has become, and yet we don't think about it in that way. We still think, oh, this is everyday life, even though it's completely, well, in many cases, it's not anywhere near everyday life. So I think the what we're having to do is catch up with the technology. We've developed this technology. We've been using it for different purposes. It's morphed into something that it wasn't really necessarily meant to be originally, and now we have to check back and say, oh wait, that's right, this isn't reality. This is like a magazine. This is like an online magazine that everybody can, be part of. It doesn't have to be the big publishing houses. It doesn't have to be somebody with a big camera crew and a makeup crew and a hair crew and everything else, a wardrobe. It's just one person. They're an Instagrammer, but it's still not reality. Learning that is going to be a new process for us, because we're catching up with technology. Technology advances, and our use and our understanding has to catch up with it. So that's kind of where we're at, and it is hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and I even just wanted to add to like what we were, just talking about, is like, and I'm glad that like I've finally realized this after having social media for a while now, but it's like the big issue for me is that like I'm literally comparing myself to something through a screen, like not even something like real, like you said, Barbara, but literally just like a like square photo on a screen. And so I think like that's the big issue for me, and I'm sure like many others too, is that like I'm just like kind of, just getting so wrapped up in this like, fake reality, and just like these like, just something that's like not real, but it's just like been hurting my confidence. And it's like the fact that I'm literally comparing myself through a phone screen.
Exactly. If I may add, I think a lot of the times there are stereotypes, I think, for all people. For example, like women, they're told to be short, or girls are told to be short, and they're supposed to have long hair, and they're supposed to like dress really nicely, supposed to smell really good. There's just these stereotypes, and I think the same thing can go for teenagers that are boys too. Like I find that if boys don't have like if they don't fit the mold of what society wants them to be, the perfect guy, for example, or like the perfect girl, I find it super detrimental to how people view themselves. And once again, there are activists that are like breaking that mold, thank God. But I still think that it's so embedded in our society for the longest time, like going back to like whatever, maybe like the 1700s, or actually early society, where women were told to stay home and men go out, like hunter and gatherer kind of a thing. And it still is shown through our society today, where everyone has certain expectations, and if you don't meet it, then society like just kicks you out the door. And it's just this, I just feel like it's this kind of circle of just not accepting who you are and still needing validation from those around you. And I think it's just, once again, it just depletes your self-confidence, it depletes your self-esteem, and it's super duper negative. And I think social media plays a huge role in that.
Really quickly, one of the things that's important to do, and I don't think we talk about this enough, is understanding what's influencing us, right? What is it really that society wants us to smell good and have long hair? Or is it that at the end of the day that somebody's selling us something, right? Where is somebody benefiting from saying you should smell good and have long hair, right? Is there an entity there that might be selling us products for long hair, or selling us products for smelling good, or selling, that's at the end of the day we have to think about. Whenever somebody's trying to influence us, why is it that they're influencing us? What at the end of the day are they getting out of it, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's always corporations behind every evil in America.
Honestly though, it's so frustrating. My brother, he always tells me these things. I think a huge like supporter of mine was from breaking my shell was probably like my older brother, because he has more experience in this kind of atmosphere. He graduated from Saratoga High School, and he was like the one just like be your own person, and he kind of just told me that like companies, corporations kind of like that are making these products are forcing all people in general to push them to do this one thing, and just kind of sway them and make it normalized to like just care about these things. And I just think it's, once again, it just kind of goes back to like how you view yourself and just your confidence levels, you know, and just whether or not you're truly being yourself and owning it.
Yeah. I think also one thing I want to add is that this is not new. This is not a new thing that your generation is dealing with. When I was in high school, I remember dating a boy who had a best friend whose mother once told them, do you want to go out with a girl who's always worried about how she looks and, spending a lot of time on all this stuff and then can't do this activity because she's going to sweat and her makeup's going to run, or can't do that thing that might be fun because she's worried about how it looks or worried about her clothes or something like that. So like the mother was actively trying to shape the boy's view of what makes a good partner. It's not just the appearance, it's actually what's inside and how you interact and what you can do with that person that that is important and is what's going to make the relationship healthy. So it's not a new thing. This has been happening for a while now.